Shall we put our palms together? May our respect be to the Buddha, who is perfectly enlightened, and the Blessed. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Good evening. Friends, today, as you all know, our topic is scientific religion in modern world. Science and religion seems like two different subjects that doesn't get along with. I'm not trying to prove that Buddhism is true scientifically, but rather I'm trying to tell that Buddhism in its approach, it is very scientific and it is more suitable for modern world. It can resonate well. In the light of scientific discoveries, many religions, those which are based on superstitious belief especially, they trembled with fear. But not Buddhism. But what is the reason behind this? That is what we are going to discuss here today. In the past, religion enjoyed a great power. In ancient world, religion influenced every aspect of human life. Political, economic, social, cultural, almost every aspect of our life is influenced by religion and religious thinking. So the religion enjoyed great deal of power. When we are primitive, scientifically, when we did not know much about this world and its existence, we tend to turn towards the religion for our understanding. So the religion come out to tell us the nature of life, nature of this world, nature of the universe, and we believe what religions teach, and based on that, we reacted towards the world. All of a sudden, it started to rain. It rained and rained and rained, and then it flooded. Villages and towns were swept off. A lot of destructions. People died. Livestock were destroyed. Harvest was destroyed. And they thought this should be the work of some unseen beings, some unseen forces. Maybe the work of a devil. Or maybe the God is angry. So they started to pray to the God, please, enough. Sometimes it's drought. There was no water. The harvest was destroyed. And they started to pray to the sun god. Ask the rain. Sometimes epidemic broke off and hundreds and thousands of people die. They do not know why. They thought maybe some unseen beings are at work. To appease these unseen beings, they started to observe religious practices. Various kind of rites and rituals come into existence. They started to do sacrifice. Sometimes they did animal sacrifice. Sometimes they went even to the extent to sacrifice human beings. What about tsunami, tornado, earthquake? When such things happen, they thought someone else is angry. Someone who is controlling this system is angry. So he or she is punishing us. But the science discovered the secret of these things. The discovery of the scientist of these natural phenomena, the shackle, the foundation of those religions where these beliefs based on. Science discovered tsunami, tornado, earthquake. Why these things happen? It's not because of unseen beings. It's not because of some unnatural beings or supernatural beings. But they discovered it and proclaimed to the world how it happened. They discovered because of viruses, germs, microorganisms, how epidemic broke off and how people get sick. There was a time that people believed that the earth is the center of the universe and it is flat. The sun revolves the earth. But scientists, they proved that, but in fact, the earth is not the center of the universe. Earth is revolving the sun. That discovery shackle the foundations of religions. Charles Darwin, when he discovered the evolution theory, it was challenged to the theory of divine creation. So the many religious people or religious leaders thought science is dead against religion. But in fact, no. Science is simply discovering the truth. And when they discover the truth and proclaim it to the world, but of course, then it shed the light to dispel the delusion. So even today, some religions are very hostile towards the science, but not Buddhism. My question here, when many religions are challenged by scientific discoveries, why not the Buddhism? The fundamental teachings of the Buddha has not been challenged by any scientist so far. No scientific discoveries has challenged fundamental teachings of the Buddha. When I said fundamental teachings of the Buddha, his pure doctrine. There are many things today people introduce in the name of Buddhism. That is not what I mean. But the answer to the question why Buddhism was not challenged by the science has got very, very solid reason, very important reason. Because science and Buddhism both are heading from dark to light. They base on same platform and move towards the same direction, but in a different way. Both science and Buddhism dispel the darkness from the human mind. Buddhism came into existence as a human struggle for light. Thousands of years back, the Prince Siddhartha, having dedicated himself for spiritual, ethical, intellectual development, he discovered the path to enlightenment. He awakened himself from the deep sleep of ignorance, and then he dedicated himself to awaken the others from the deep sleep of ignorance. So Buddhism dispels the darkness from human mind. Buddhism teaches human beings, our mind is densely covered with delusion, avidya. We perceive the world in a distorted way. Based on that perception, we react to the world. So Buddha teach how to dispel this darkness and achieve enlightenment. In the same way, scientists also dispel the darkness from the human mind. By scientifically doing experiments and exploring the world. Buddha explored the inner world, our own mind, and discovered the enlightenment. Scientists, they explore the physical world, outer world. But both groups, we are heading towards understanding, dispelling the darkness. Because of that fundamental reason and very solid reason, science has not challenged Buddhism, and science is not a challenge to Buddhism. Buddhists do not have to think that science is a challenge. Buddhism and science can go hand in hand. Now, I believe Buddhism is more suitable for modern world than ancient world. I believe Buddhism is more needed to the modern world than to the ancient world. Why? In modern world, people, they are scientifically, technologically advanced, and they can understand Buddhism, and they can resonate with it because of their logical thinking, and the scientists have done a remarkable job in that sense to broaden our understanding and wisdom about the universe and the nature of our existence in a different aspect. When I said scientific religion in modern world, when I use this term scientific, what I mean, Buddhist approach is scientific. It does not mean that Buddhism can be tested and verified and scientifically proved in the laboratory. It does not mean in that way. But like a scientist who does the experiments with open mind, without being biased, he might have a hypothesis, but he still doesn't become a prisoner of it. He simply does his experiments and come to the conclusion. So is the Buddhist practitioner. If you are a meditator who follow the Buddha's path in order to discover the enlightenment within yourself, then you need to work like a scientist. You must have that approach. Those of you who have got experience with Vipassana meditation, you are simply asked to be mindful of your own thoughts, words, your feelings, perceptions, and observe them. That is how we start, without being carried away by them, without taking any side of these feelings or perceptions or mental formations. We are trying to observe like a scientist. So that is simple beginning. So Buddhist approach is to the problem of suffering or problem of human unsatisfactory nature is very scientific. That is why I call it scientific religion. It should not be misunderstood that it means that it can be tested in the laboratories and verified scientifically. I also think that Buddhism is in fact very modern, because Buddhist ideas are very modern. They can connect very well with modern thinkers. There are 5 reasons why I think Buddhism is suitable for modern world and advanced societies and intelligent people. First reason why I think Buddhism is scientific and it is suitable for modern society is that Buddhism does not base on blind faith. Buddhism is based on right understanding. Rather than saying, come and believe me, the Buddha says, come and investigate, ehipassiko. So the base of the Buddhist teaching is understanding. Blind faith is a hindrance for Buddhist practice. In Buddhist teaching, blind faith is never encouraged. In fact, it can become a hindrance. Buddha says, just like a piece of gold is given to a goldsmith, he will cut it, rub it, check it with the touchstone to make sure that it's a genuine piece of gold or not. Exactly in the same manner, when you approach the Dhamma, Dhamma should be scrutinized, it should be analyzed. After scrutinizing, analyzing, after thorough investigation, then only you must accept the Dhamma. You should not accept the Buddha's teaching blindly. Buddha does not want you to be a blind follower. Because of that reason, Buddhism is based on understanding, but not the faith. It is very solid teaching. It's very reliable teaching. It's open for investigation. It's open for scientific thinking. It's open for rational thinking. It's logical. Well, if we were to have right understanding, in the first place we must have freedom of thinking. Buddha has given enough freedom for thinking. In fact, unlimited freedom for thinking. There's no such a religion on the earth where you come across the freedom for thinking when it compared to Buddhist teachings. In the famous discourse, Kalama Sutta, Buddha says, do not believe anything just because it is coming down from generation to generation. Do not believe anything just because it is written down holy books. Do not believe anything just because it is said by many people. Do not believe anything because it is said by a teacher. So in this way, having said many such statements, Buddha says, use your common sense. Investigate, question. Having checked it thoroughly, if you think and if you understand, then you must accept and you must follow it. So in this way, Buddha gives freedom of thinking and encourage right understanding. So the base of the Buddhist teaching is right understanding. And because of that reason, I think it is very suitable for modern society. Second reason why I think Buddhism is more suitable for the modern society is, when you look at the religions in the world, the last goal of many religions is to be born in the heaven. It is a good aspiration. There's nothing wrong of it. Even Buddhists can be born in the heaven if they so wish. There's no any restriction for any Buddhist. But last goal to be born in the heaven can be achieved only after the death, not while you are living. But the last goal of the Buddhist practice, end goal, which is the enlightenment, is not something to be achieved after the death. You have to be enlightened while you are living. This may look very simple, but it's a very important point here. And very important because Buddha recognized we can be enlightened while we are living here. And the teachings leads to emancipation, to cessation from suffering, to dispel the darkness. But in order to achieve the enlightenment, we need to practice. Nibbana cannot be achieved through prayers. You may do chanting hundreds of years. You may do devotional practices or any other kind of meritorious actions. All these are good actions, of course, meritorious actions. They have got their own value. But if you want to be enlightened, then you need to follow the Noble Eightfold Path. You have to dedicate yourself to cultivate your ethical, spiritual, and intellectual faculties. Enlightenment does not come out of nothing. It is to be achieved. And human beings, we have got innate nature, the hidden nature, the potential capacities to be enlightened. So the last goal of the Buddhist, or end goal, or prime goal, which is the Nibbana, is to be achieved while you are living here and now. Sanditthiko. It is not something to be achieved after the death. This makes a very big difference when it comes to Buddhism and many other religions. Because of that, I think it is, again, suitable for modern societies. Because it does not say that you have to wait until you die to achieve enlightenment. You can achieve enlightenment here and now if you dedicate yourself, if you cultivate yourself, if you follow the path. The third reason why I think Buddhism is suitable for modern society and it's scientific, because Buddha teach the ultimate truth in this existence. And it does not change with the time. There are certain religions in the world, they change their views about the world from time to time, depend on the scientific discoveries in order to suit to the societies. But when it comes to the Buddhist teaching, throughout thousands of years, the fundamental teachings of the Buddha remain, and there was no need to change. Buddha says, whether the Tathagatas arise in the world or whether they do not arise in the world, the conditioned genesis, the ultimate reality of this existence, remain as a fact. So the Buddhism that we call or label as the Dhamma is not produced by the Buddha. Dhamma is not the product of the Buddha, but it's a discovery of the Buddha. Buddha did not create the Dhamma. He simply discovered the existing truth. Like Isaac Newton discovered the gravity. He did not create the gravity. In the same manner, Buddha discovered the existing truth that he labeled as Dhamma. And that existing truth, akaliko, go beyond the time. There's no time limitation. It doesn't have to be changed with the time because it is the ultimate truth. If it is ultimate truth, it cannot be changed with the time. If something to be changed with the time to time, and then if we label this thing as truth from time to time by changing, then it cannot be the ultimate truth. So far, throughout thousands of years, this truth discovered by the Buddha remains same, and we have not changed it. And there's no necessity to change it. And because of that, again, I think it is suitable for the modern thinkers. It is worth to be studied, worth to be practiced, and worth to give a try. The fourth reason why I think Buddhism is suitable for the modern societies. Modern society is suffering from intolerance, war and crime, terrorism, racism, religious fanaticism. On top of these untold miseries, we have stress, tension, agony in cosmopolitan cities, living these busy lives. We undergo untold miseries and sufferings. And Buddhism can bring solace, can help us to settle these issues, can help us to reduce these miseries and sufferings. Buddhism recognizes all the miseries, sufferings, and problems come into existence because of human defilements. These defilements come from three roots. One is known as self-centered blind desire, greed. The other one is kind of repulsion. That goes against the desire, which prevent achieving what you want. Whatever you do not like, that's a kind of repulsion. What Buddha labeled as hatred, dosa. Third one is ignorance. Our mind is basically covered with dense darkness of ignorance, avijja. It doesn't matter whether we are educated or not. The basic ignorance remains in human mind. Because of these three roots, all the miseries come into existence. All the problems come into existence. Look at the world. Countries and nations, they are threatening towards each other. They threaten that they can do greater damage than the other. What will happen if the human beings were to use their nuclear weapons and atomic bombs? We have experienced that human beings have tested them in Second World War II, the Second World War time. And we are still suffering from its effect. Today, human beings have created much more powerful type of nuclear weapons. If they were to use these, this whole planet can be wiped out. Because of greed, hatred, and delusion, we create a lot of havoc. Buddha teach, by uprooting these defilements perfectly, permanently, and irreversibly, we can achieve perfect bliss and happiness. Buddha encourage all the human beings to reduce their greed, hatred, and delusion. Religion is supposed to bring understanding by dispelling the delusion. Buddhism is such a religion that encourages understanding, tolerance. When you understand your neighbor, when you understand your neighbor's religion, when you understand your neighbor's culture, way of thinking, way of life, then that conducive for peace and happiness. So understanding is encouraged rather than delusion, rather than suspicion. So that is very important to have racial harmony, religious harmony. Most of the time, since we do not understand each other's way of thinking, we create problems because of delusion. So Buddhism encourages understanding over delusion and suspicion. When we have understanding, we can settle many issues. When we have self-centered blind desire, that creates a lot of problems. It gives birth to egoism because of excessive greed, attachment, lust, craving, and we might do evil, wicked, immoral actions. We might create miseries. Buddhism encourages you to reduce these defilements. Instead of self-centered blind desire, Buddha encourages you to be generous, open-minded, care and share about your fellow brothers and sisters. Hatred, ill will, jealousy, anger, cruelty, such defilements always bring suffering, create a lot of problems. Instead of all these, Buddha encourages compassion and goodwill. One day, a young man approached the Buddha. He said, "Venerable Sir, I have heard that you know the path and how should one practice in order to be born among the divine beings. Can you please teach me how to be born in Brahma world, among the super divine beings?" Then the Buddha said, "Cultivate boundless love, cultivate boundless compassion, cultivate appreciative joy and perfect equanimity." And then he called these four as Brahma Vihara, abiding of the highest divine beings. That is how you can live life of a divine being. And these four are introduced as forms of meditation. So these positive emotions are very constructive, wholesome, and beneficial for humankind. So if humankind were to practice these noble thoughts, we can create the heaven on the earth. We do not have to wait till our death to go to heaven and experience. We can create the heaven on the earth. Again, in modern society, we undergo so much stress and tension. Most of the time, we are not at peace. Buddhist meditation techniques help us to reduce stress, tension, agony, miseries. It helps us to calm down, tame down ourselves. Vipassana meditation techniques are taught by Buddhist monks and nuns throughout thousands of years in Asian countries as well as the other part of the world. These meditations has been proved that they bring peace and happiness, and eventually they lead to enlightenment. Today, mindfulness is a hot topic, especially in Western countries. Western people are appreciating the teachings of the Buddha. They can understand it better because they are scientifically and technologically, they have undergone a kind of revolution in their societies and their culture. So their thinking can easily resonate with the teachings. So we come across the practices like mindfulness-based stress reduction, mindfulness-based cognitive therapy. Such kind of courses are available in Western countries. These are based on Buddhist meditation techniques of vipassana, mindfulness. I do not know whether you have heard about Goenkaji, one of the Indian meditation master born in Myanmar. He passed away quite a few years, 3 to 4 years back. He has got centers all over the world. He introduced vipassana meditation to prisoners to reform the criminals. Buddha himself used the Buddhist teaching to reform the criminals. Angulimala is a criminal. He's a serial killer. He killed almost nearly thousands of people. But Buddha managed to transform him to be a wholesome human being. Alavaka is someone who feasts on the flesh of the human beings. He was transformed to become a wholesome human being. There are hundreds and thousands of human beings who came across the noble teachings of the Buddha and they transformed themselves to become wholesome human beings. So if it is the case, the meditation can really transform us to become better human beings. So meditation is the essence of the Buddha's teaching and its practice. So I believe that Buddhism can do a greater service to the humanity and it can be more suitable for modern societies if human beings can adopt and practice it. The fifth reason why I think Buddhism is more applicable and suitable for the modern society, as we notice now, the modern society is changing so rapidly. In one way, scientifically and technologically, we are advanced. No doubt they bring so much benefit to the human society. But on the other hand, it also brings disasters as well. It has got a negative side as well. Today we are talking about global warming. We are destroying the forests. Deforestation is going up. We are polluting our sea, water, air. The natural resources are polluted to the extent that they cannot catch up or cope up with rejuvenating or restore, because we are destroying or damaging so much, so fast, and the nature cannot cope with it. Buddhism teaches action, responsibility, and interdependent nature. You are responsible. This planet is not given to you to plunder at your will. Human beings are only another species among many other living beings. Being intelligent human beings, Buddha gives the responsibility to human beings. Like an elder brother must look after their younger brothers, we have the responsibility to take care of this planet. Buddha says, human beings, other living beings, flora and fauna, and everything else are interconnected, interdependent, paticca samuppanna. And our actions have got reactions. We are responsible for our own actions. We should not depend on another person to take the responsibility of our actions. Buddha says, Suddhi asuddhi paccatang nanya manye visayode. Purity and impurity depend on oneself. No one can purify another one. So you are responsible. We are responsible for our own thoughts, words, and actions. No one else. We are responsible to take care of this planet It resources the other living beings, species, and our natural resources. So nobody has given us such authority to plunder this planet at our will. It is time for us to wake up. So since Buddhism recognizes it, and since Buddha advocated it, since we understand and accept it, I think this teaching is still can cope with modern scientific thinking. So I think I have given 5 reasons. This is enough, I believe. And you might have some questions. Well, these are my personal thinking, why I personally think Buddhism is scientific, why I personally think it is suitable for modern societies. You might have your own thinking. And if you have, please share with me. And if you have got any queries, any questions, this is time for that.
Bhante, there's one question here. In this modern society, where most people are busy with their work, how can one spend time to practice Buddhism in their daily life?
Buddhism is to be practiced in daily life, of course. There is no special time or special place where you should practice Buddhism. Buddhism must be practiced everywhere. Now, when you ask the questions, we are very busy and how should we practice Buddhism? Of course, there is no standard level, ready-made one answer to this question. Depend on the individuals, we might practice to different capacities. But if you were to talk about the Noble Eightfold Path, the Noble Eightfold Path can be practiced in our day-to-day life to a greater extent. Samma Vacha. What is Samma Vacha? Right speech. Where should we exercise right speech? When you are all alone without talking, or when you are with the people? When do you talk? You talk when you are among the people. So when you are among the people means when you are with your husband and wife, with your children, with your relatives, friends, with your colleagues, in your office, in a MRT station, bus stop, wherever you are with the people, and that is the time for you to speak. And then be mindful of your words. Samma Vacha. So Samma Vacha, here we train ourselves to refrain from any kind of evil, immoral, unwholesome type of speech. We refrain from speaking those words that can hurt the other people. We do not unnecessarily criticize the people with evil intention. But we speak pleasant words, truthful words, those words that everybody like to hear. Meaningful words, those words that are worthy to be recorded. We try our best and abide by the truth rather than telling lies. We try our best to speak meaningfully rather than speaking baselessly or aimlessly. So in this way, when you use your verbal faculty in a positive, constructive, and wholesome way that bring happiness to yourself and bring happiness towards your fellow brothers and sisters, you are practicing Buddhism. Samma Kammanta. What is Samma Kammanta? Right action. Here you train yourself and be mindful of your actions. We refrain from doing any action which can harm other human beings. We refrain from killing, torturing, injuring, stealing, taking what is not given either by force or by cheating. We refrain from sexual misconduct. We abide by the righteousness. So in this way, we behave in such a way with so much consideration towards our fellow brothers and sisters, with compassion and understanding. Why you refrain from such actions? Because those actions bring unhappiness. If I were to behave in this way, and then these actions might bring suffering, problems for myself and for the others. So out of compassion and understanding, then you engage in wholesome action. Those actions which are positive, constructive and wholesome, those actions which bring benefits to yourself and fellow brothers and sisters, any kind of good action. So when you behave in that way, you are practicing Buddhism. Right livelihood. You earn in a righteous way, according to the law and order of the country, by working hard diligently. Through righteous means you earn, without resorting yourself to earn in a wicked, immoral, unwholesome way. Here you are practicing Buddhism. When you uphold ethical principles of 5 precepts, with the best of your ability, you are practicing the teachings here. In each and every of these cases, you are training your mind, because every action origins in the mind. So do not belittle. When you practice right speech, when you practice right action, when you engage in right livelihood, you are also training your mind. These are part of the mental training. In order to behave in that way, you need to be mindful. So that is how you practice Noble Eightfold Path day-to-day life. We also have right effort, right mindfulness, right concentration. Right effort here, apply to yourself. Try your best to keep away from evil. Try your best to introduce good habits to your life. Dedicate some time to sit for meditation. You may be such a busy person, you may not have time to sit for meditation for even for 30, 40 minutes. But perhaps maybe while going to your office, while walking, you can practice metta meditation. While walking, you can practice. Buddhist meditation can be practiced while walking, while lying down, while sitting. Even you are driving, when you are driving, be compassionate, be moderate, be mindful about the other drivers. This is how you are practicing. Suppose you went to see a doctor and you have to wait for the doctors and you have nothing to do. Rather than playing with your phone or doing nothing and thinking of something, be constructive and positive. You can close your eyes and then you can radiate loving kindness towards yourself. Those people who are present here, they are suffering from certain diseases. That is why they want to see the doctors. Radiate boundless love and compassion towards these people. Wish them may you all be free from physical and mental pain and suffering. May you all be healthy. This itself is meditation. When you do work, try to do it with mindfulness. Develop mindfulness. You may not have time to develop mindfulness by sitting meditation for 30, 40 minutes or even 1 hour. But you can take 1 minute or 2 minutes of practicing of mindfulness. Suppose you are doing your work and you might take break in between. In between, when you take break, you just close your eyes and few seconds, mindfully breathe in, mindfully breathe out. Try to increase this 1 minute, 2 minutes in intervals. And that itself is developing some sort of mindfulness. So meditation is a must. It is not optional. If you are a Buddhist, meditation is a must. It's not optional. Why? Because meditation can change our character. We can become compassionate and wise human beings by undertaking meditation. When you sit for the meditation, then only you will realize who are you. So you must introduce meditation to your life little by little. So even though you are so busy, and I believe that what you mean that we are so busy, we don't have time to practice. Perhaps maybe this is what you mean. You don't have time to practice meditation. But if it is the case, as I said, you can even still practice it little by little. Suppose you go to bed to sleep. What do? While waiting for sleep, you might think something happened in the past, daytime, or what I'm going to do tomorrow. Of course, some planning and all these things are important. So just finish all this business first. But when you are going to sleep, while waiting you to fall asleep, cultivate boundless love and compassion. Cultivate mindfulness. This is meditation. Or observe your thoughts. Observe your feelings. There are many types of meditations. Learn them and adopt them. And you are the one who can introduce to your life little by little. So this is how we can practice meditation, the Noble Eightfold Path. First two factors of the Noble Eightfold Path is right understanding and right thoughts. In each and every moment, any given situation, try to have right understanding without being biased. Try to look at it like a scientist. Observe it carefully. Try to understand it from the Dhamma point of view. Dhamma here means righteous way, correct way, proper way, without being biased. But of course, if you are a Dhamma learner, if you have Dhamma understanding, and you can contemplate about the Dhamma, look at the things from the Dhamma point of view, in this way you can deepen your right understanding. And this is how you can practice day-to-day life. Right thoughts. Buddha recognized there are three right thoughts which are very important. Thoughts of goodwill, thoughts of generosity, thoughts of compassion. Try to develop these three thoughts. When you are generous, when you are compassionate, and when you have loving kindness, all your actions will be wholesome. You will become a beautiful human being. That is how you can practice. When the defilements arise in your mind, when you become moody, gloomy, sad, observe carefully. Look at your mind. Don't be carried out by them, but simply observe them and see how they are rising and passing away. Be a scientist. Be a scientist of your mind. Your mind is the laboratory. So this is how you can practice. Buddhism is to be practiced everywhere, whenever you can. And there's no particular place. You do not have to go to the temple to practice Buddhism. Some people think going to the temple and by paying homage to the Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha, offering dana to the monks and doing chanting, all these are important. You must do it, carry on it. They are very important. But you can practice the Dhamma everywhere. Not necessarily you have to come to the temple. There's no, you should not think that it's only on full moon day we have to be, practicing the teachings. There's no such teachings the Buddha teach. Buddhism is to be practiced every moment, everywhere. Mindfulness is to be practiced in that way.
The next questions. May I know the name of the sutta that has a more detailed explanation of each precept? Thank you.
Which precept?
Each precept.
Each precept.
Detailed explanation of each precept. Any sutta.
They are asking about the 5 precepts?
He didn't mention what he said. Just say the sutta that has a more detailed explanation of each precept.
When you say each precept, for the monks we have 227 precepts. For the nuns we have 311 precepts. So when you say each precept, I do not know, perhaps maybe you are referring to 5 precepts, I believe. Is there anyone who asked this question particularly? Perhaps maybe 5 precepts. That is what I guess. You can refer to the Sala Sutta. And in Majjhima Nikaya, there is a sutta where the Brahmin of Sala went to see the Buddha, and they asked the question about the actions and reactions. They asked a simple question, the consequences of good actions and bad actions. There Buddha talks about 10 types of unskillful actions, and he gives more elaboration about this. Perhaps maybe you can refer to this sutta. Otherwise, I believe that you are using your smartphones. You can do the Google search now. You can find it.
Next question. Bhante, I have read few articles on scientific proof about chanting water. Is this in line with Buddhist practice?
Using the water in chanting, or in that case, in using the water in religious ritualistic practices, is not only unique to Buddhism. All the religions use water. What is recognized as something that used by all the religions in their religious rituals and ceremonies, especially Buddhist chanting sessions. Water is used because the belief is that water can absorb positive sound energy. That is the belief. Based on that belief, throughout thousands of years, Buddhist monks and nuns, whenever they do chanting, they use the water. And they usually link the water with a cotton thread, and they hold the cotton thread. And if there are congregation, the other people also hold it. And then they concentrate on the subject, whatever they are chanting, and then they chant. So this is the belief. But if there are scientific experiments have been done, and if they have proved something, then of course that's a plus point. I don't think she is asking a question, correct?
So. One more question. Buddhas talk about seeing things as it is. How do we practice this in our daily life, especially when we see some people, they do not behave well?
When Buddha says, see the things as they are, it's a very deep, profound statement. It means see the things, how really they exist, in deeper sense. It means the fundamental nature of this whole universe and its existence is changing, anicca. Every single second we are living, we are changing. The smallest cells that made up our body, they are always changing. Modern science teaches us these cells, they always replace. Old cells die, then new ones are born, then when they die, some others are born. In this process, it's a moving process. Starting from the smallest cells of our body till up to the biggest stars in this universe, everything is changing. Human beings, we are collected, compounded forces and energies which are in a constant flux. So every moment, everything is changing. Sometimes these changes are visible to our eyes, sometimes they are invisible to our eyes. But definitely they are changing. A flower blooms in the morning, might wither away in the evening. That is very visible here. We can see it very clearly. Flowers, they wither away very quickly if you do not put it into a water, the vase which is filled with water or whatever. If you just leave a flower, it will wither away. So that's why when we offer the flowers to the Buddha, we remind ourselves of the impermanent nature, the underlying fundamental law of this universe and life and everything else changes. Our body is changing very quickly. In the process of changing, we are getting old, fall sick. A lot of changes are happening every moment. Our mind is changing rapidly than the body. Our mind is always changing. Second by second it is changing. Thought by thought, feeling by feeling, perception by perception. Through five sense faculties, when we come across outside world, every moment we are experiencing something. So feelings, perceptions, mental formations, consciousness, they are rising and passing away, rising and passing away, every moment. But do we see it? We take our body to be solid. Now, always things are changing, but given a time, 1 hour. What time did we start this our talk today? 7:30. What is the time now? 8:30? 8:40. From 7:30 to 8:40, we were changing. Our mind was changing. This building was changing. Time was changing. And the air was changing. Everything else was changing. But did anyone of us even think of that? Did anyone of you during this period thought and recognize anicca? Anybody can have hands up? But it is happening, correct? Then we do not see the things as they are. Things are always happening in this way, but we do not see. Means our mindfulness is not sharp. Our mind is densely covered with delusion. Even though things are impermanent, we perceive them as permanent. As a reality, we know things are impermanent. As a theory, we know they are impermanent. But it's just a theory. But we do not live in that. That is what it means. So again, dukkha. Whenever we cling to things which are subject to change and disappear, and when we solidify them and grab them, and when they want them to be ours forever, and when against our will and wish, when these things change, then we suffer. But we do not notice it. We experience suffering. We experience suffering, but we see the things as pleasant. Whatever pleasant, favorable, pleasurable, sight, sound, smells, touch, sensation, they are pleasurable, yes. They bring happiness, yes. They bring pleasure, yes. But they too bring unhappiness, sorrow, lamentation, pain, grief. But we do not see it. Since we do not see it, we grab it. That is what it means. We do not see things in deeper sense. Anatta, soullessness. Human being, we are combination of 5 aggregates of clinging. They are forces and energies. They are always changing. But we solidify these 5 and create the idea of I, me, and mine. We cling to that idea so much, or we replace that idea, I have a soul. Or in this way, we create a delusion within ourselves. But actually, what is there is a process. And we do not see it. So this is what Buddha says, see things as they are. In order to see these changes in the light of impermanence, unsatisfactory, and soullessness, we need to develop a special tool. Now, I have given this cup of water, and there is water inside. If you were to examine the water molecules and whether there are some those tiny living creatures, the microorganism, having look at it from my naked eye, I cannot see it. I do not know whether this water has got any germs or virus. I do not know. I believe there's no. Huh? But if I were to make sure and see it, I need a special instrument. What is this special instrument? Microscope. So this is where science come, correct? So scientists, they got microscope, and then they can examine it, and they can say, even though this is water, yes, the water is made of HO2. What is it? HO2. Huh? So they HO2. HO. So whatever. So they can divide it, and they can tell you all this, explain you, and very clearly tell you whether there are the viruses or germs or microorganisms or whatever. But you need this special instrument. In the same way, if you were to see the world of sight, sound, smells, touch, sensations, world of feelings, perceptions, mental formation, consciousness, world of body and mind, this is the world we experience. If you want to look at it, you need a special instrument. What is this special tool? Mindfulness. Mindfulness, this is the special tool. So Buddhist meditation is based on mindfulness. But of course, in secular sense today, there are various people who do mindfulness practice and courses. They are still important. You can go and learn. They are still beneficial. But they can tackle the issue. They are using it secular sense. So they still might helpful for you to reduce your stress, tension in your workplace. So it's still beneficial. But when you want to see the deepest reality and achieve enlightenment, you need to develop it to be a very sharp tool. And this is where you need to meditate. You need to meditate. And then you can develop mindfulness. And based on mindfulness, you can see the things. Yata bhutang jnana dassanang. The way things exist. Buddhism recognizes 2 types of eyes. One type of eye is the ordinary eyes, chakku. We all have chakku. We also have one venerable chakkupala here. So chakku, huh? Chakkapala, or not chakku. Okay, chakku means eyes. We have this physical eyes here. Through that we can see the world. But Buddha talks about another chakku. That chakku is Dhamma chakku, eye of the Dhamma. And you can see the things as they are only through Dhamma chakku. So what we are having is only normal chakku, eyes. But what we are lacking is Dhamma chakku, eye of the Dhamma. So the moment you get this eye of the Dhamma, that you are enlightened in the first stage. So the people who achieve or awaken themselves to the first stage of enlightenment, it is said, Dhamma Chakkung Udapadi. They achieve the eye of the Dhamma. They see the things as they really are. Now, through intellectual proliferation and through our intellectual capacity, we can understand Buddhism to a greater extent, a deeper extent. We can understand the Dhamma. But it always has a limit. Only through intellectual capacity we cannot achieve enlightenment. But understanding is possible. But if you want to realize, then, as I said, you need to develop a special tool that you are born with. And this tool is mindfulness. We all have it. We all have it. But we need to develop it. And then we can see the world in its true way. Yata bhutang jnana dassana.
Bhante, when someone understood the Four Noble Truths and Eightfold Path, is he enlightened?
I believe I have already explained this in a way. Okay, let me ask you a question then. Suppose we have Singapore map. We get Singapore map and we study it very well. We can say the roads and directions and all this. Suppose you are in this building and you haven't been to the land which is Singapore, but you have studied the map here. So if anybody were to ask, where is Jurong Point? You can tell, oh, Jurong Point is, this direction, and from this place to that place, how many kilometers, what are the roads that you must take. You can tell all this. Got it? So this is your understanding about the map. But you haven't been to Jurong Point. You haven't been to Jurong Point. You haven't walked to Jurong Point, or you haven't taken bus or MRT, or you have not cycled, or you have not gone there. So your experience is only about the map. Now, suppose you walk from Mangala Vihara to Jurong Point by walk or by bicycle or through other means. You go all the way to the Jurong Point and experience, oh, this is how it is. Now, the person who walked from here to Jurong Point through his own experience and realized the place and see it his own eyes and understood it and become his own experience, and the person who studied just the map, is it same or different? So you are studying only the map. Learning Four Noble Truths and Noble Eightfold Path means study the map, that's all. Just because you study the map, it does not mean you have completed your journey. Correct? Now, suppose we say that, suppose you have not eaten honey in your life. You do not know the taste of the honey. Okay? Not you, I. I'm sure you have eaten. Now, can you please explain me the taste of honey? Any one of you? Please volunteer to explain me the taste of honey. Sweet like sugar. Better than sugar, like chocolate. Any other explanation? No amount of words can explain the taste of the honey. If I have not eaten, I will still, because when you talk about the honey, I will always resonate with something I have experienced. So if I have eaten chocolate, I will link it with chocolate. Oh, maybe chocolate. It's not chocolate. So if I have eaten sugar, I will link it. When you say sweet, I will link it with sugar, because that's my experience. I do not know your honey. I know only chocolate. My brain, my mind, my body, my world has so far recognized only chocolate and sugar, not honey. So no amount of words can give me the realization. So no matter you read thousands of Dhamma books, read them. It's important. It's important. But the realization is different. So if I really want to taste the honey, what should I do? I must eat the honey. Oh, this is the taste. That experience cannot be expressed. Agree? This is it. Theory, practice, realization. Pariyatti, Patipatti, Pativeda. There are 3 steps. Understanding and practice should go hand in hand in order to realize the enlightenment. So no amount of words can explain what enlightenment is exactly. We can explain, yes. So you will understand to some degree. But that's all speculation, hallucination. It's your own creation, but not the realization. So that's the difference. So just because you understand Four Noble Truths and the Noble Eightfold Path theoretically, it does not mean you are enlightened. Wisdom is to be developed in 3 successive stages. First stage of wisdom is known as Sutta Maya Panya. Wisdom born through learning. So this is where you have come here today. I'm speaking to you, you are listening to me, we engage in dialogue. We understand the teachings through learning. When you read a book, when you go to the university, study Buddhism, get MA, PhD, or any other degree, or whatever, all this theoretical understanding, they are important. They bring some degree of wisdom. This wisdom is known as Sutta Maya Panya. Wisdom born through learning. This is kindergarten. No matter you might be a professor or PhD degree holder of Buddhism, but if you still remain there, this knowledge is book knowledge. Then you can develop to the second type of wisdom, which is far more superior, more deeper. This knowledge is known as Cintamaya Panya. Wisdom born through reflection. Whatever you study, the Dhamma, you scrutinize them, analyze them, deeply contemplate them, resonate with them, and try to do the experiments with your life. You apply it in life, and you see whether the other people also experiencing the same thing. Like a scientist in this way, doing experiments with among fellow brothers and sisters, and you develop this by intellectual proliferation. And then you develop a more profound type of wisdom. Wisdom born through reflection. But it is very shallow. Then there is the third and the final wisdom. Bhavanamaya Panya. Wisdom born through meditation. And this is where you develop a special tool, your mindfulness, and achieve concentration and the others, the necessary aspects of the tools of the human mind, which need to break through the delusion and achieve perfect enlightenment. So when you achieve that enlightenment, and that is called wisdom born through meditation. And this is the wisdom that culminates in enlightenment, real understanding. So we need to develop wisdom in this way. So having understanding about the Four Noble Truth and the Noble Eightfold Path alone as a theoretical form is only very basic.
Any question from the floor? Alex, please.
Hi, Bhante. I've actually sent the questions through WhatsApp, but I don't think you have received it. So, is it correct for us to attribute all the bad experiences we encounter to karma? I mean, what is the common myth of karma?
I don't understand your question. Can you tell me again?
I think what I'm trying to say is when we experience something bad, we tend to attribute it to karma. So is it correct for us to do so, or not everything is about karma? So what is the common myth of karma? So what's the misunderstanding of karma?
Buddhism doesn't say that everything happens because of karma. This is not the Buddhist teaching. I think once I gave a talk here under this topic. Does everything happen because of karma? Buddhism never teaches that everything happens because of karma. In fact, there are few theories rejected by the Buddha. One theory is known as Pubbe Kata Hetuvada, belief that everything happens because of past karma. But the question, if everything were to happen because of past action, then in this life we cannot change anything, because it is already decided. So he rejected this idea. Second idea is Issara Nimmana Hetuvada. Everything happens because of the will of the Creator. Buddha rejected this idea too. He said, if everything happens because of the will of the Creator, then we cannot change. No point of refraining from evil or doing good. No matter how you try, you cannot change your future. You cannot change. Third idea the Buddha rejected, Ahetu Apaccevada. Accidentalism. According to this belief, that things happen automatically, without a cause, without a reason, randomly. Buddha rejected this idea too. He said, things are conditioned, things happen for reasons. Everything is conditioned. Akiriyavada. The fourth idea the Buddha rejected means to say that there is no reaction of the action. Actions are simply actions, they do not produce any reactions. Buddha said, action has reactions. Actions produce reactions. So having rejected all these four ideas, Buddha teach the karma. But for the Buddha, what it means by the term karma is any kind of action which is intentional. Any kind of intentional action is labeled as karma, which means an action which is capable of producing reactions. They can be categorized into two groups, kusala karma and akusala karma. Skillful actions and unskillful actions. Unskillful actions are the one evil, wicked, immoral in nature. They always create suffering and miseries. They are ethically blameworthy, spiritually harmful, socially destructive. So Buddha's advice is not to do those actions. The actions that Buddha encourage is kusala karma, skillful actions. These are the actions ethically praiseworthy and spiritually beneficial, socially productive. These are wholesome actions. And they have reactions. But Buddha never says that everything happens because of karma. People have got the tendency, when something bad happens, they easily and conveniently say, this is my past karma. This is wrong understanding of the teaching. In the first place, Buddha never says that everything happened because of past karma. Or he doesn't even say everything happened because of karma. But what about when a good thing happened to you? Do you still say this is my past karma? You still can say it, because karma does not mean only bad. Karma simply means action. It can be bad, or it can be good. But actually, if you say, when something happened, this is my bad karma, that may not be correct. Because that is not your karma, it may be your reaction, vipaka. So the correct term to be used is vipaka. Action has reaction. What we did in the past might give the reaction now. Buddhism also does not say that all the actions we do here and now will give reaction only after the death. Some of the actions are immediate, visible here and now. Some of the actions give reaction after the death. And some of the actions, they will not give reaction. Their power become defunct. Other than the karmic theory, Buddha recognized 4 other universal forces. Physical order of the universe, utuniyama. When earthquake, tsunami, tornado, when those things happen, natural disasters, some ignorant Buddhists, they label that it is their karma. This is very wrong and very ignorant statement. Earthquake, tsunami, tornado, or any natural disaster do not happen because of karma. Karma has nothing to do with it. That is natural phenomena. That is called utuniyama, physical order of the universe. Another force that Buddha says, bijaniyama, biological law. Why does your son look like your great-grandfather but not like you? The science may explain you. The theory of the genes will explain you. How living beings, flora and fauna, trees and plants, how they evolve, how they breed, how they manifest, how we human beings reprocreate and evolve. This is the theory that the Buddha recognized as biological law, bija niyama. Kamma niyama, action and reaction. This is another one. Dhamma niyama, nature of the Dhamma. Dhamma is not produced by the Buddha, but discovered by the Buddha. So the Dhamma itself is a law in this universe. And citta niyama, human mind is more powerful than we assume. And our mind has got so much power which is latent behind. And how mind works and its nature and how the mind can develop and achieve various kind of abilities which is beyond the ordinary state of human mind, all these are explained under citta niyama, psychic law. So these are 5 universal orders. All these are interconnected, interdependent. So Buddha never says that everything happened because of karma. There are many other external factors. When something happens, the cause of it might have many reasons, many causes, not single cause. So paticca samuppada means condition genesis. Many causes and conditions come into existence and produce something.
One question here, Bhante. Bhante mentioned earlier that Buddhism is suitable for in this modern world. How about the sutta, Sigalavada Sutta, which is for layperson? Does this sutta still work in this modern world?
Sigalovada Sutta is one of wonderful discourse. It is still equally applicable to modern society with little bit of modification, because today men and women, they have changed their role. In ancient societies, where men were the breadwinners and the women were the housewives, and there Buddha gave the necessary duties to be performed by each other towards each other in order to create a happy family life. But of course, today, not only men, but women also go out and work, and their role has changed. So in such kind of cases, you have to modify it. You have to adjust and adopt it. So other than with such little modification, the basic concept of the Buddha is still valid, is still beautiful. Those who ever ask this question may wish to read a special article written by one of a Buddhist scholar. In fact, she has done a wonderful service by propagating the Dhamma. Mrs. Rhys David. Mrs. Rhys David has written a beautiful article about this sutta. And whoever asks these questions perhaps may read this article. So the answer to the question, yes, it is still applicable. Perhaps maybe with little modification to some cases, yeah.
Another question, Bhante. Moha is the roots of all evil, but we don't know what we don't know. So how can we reduce our moha?
Buddhism does not teach that everyone has to be enlightened at once, or everyone can be achieved enlightenment instantly. Buddha teach gradual path, gradual training. Anupubba sikka, anupubba patipada. We need to train little by little, step by step. So the whole process of training our ethical, spiritual, and intellectual faculties slowly but steadily move towards the direction of enlightenment. Start from somewhere you understand, and then proceed the journey from delusion to enlightenment. Along the process of training and development, you will destroy your moha. The moha is not something that we can destroy so easily. A few weeks back, I happened to came across a book. This book was written by evolutionary psychologist. It was very dry, and since I did not understand psychology and all these terms, for me it was a bit dry. But the topic attracted me, so I managed to read first few chapters. This person who is an evolutionary psychologist, he has the title of the book, Why Buddhism is True. What he is trying to tell, in the process of our evolution, how our brain evolved and how it creates delusion. And he is not talking about anything else. He is not talking about karma or rebirth or any other Buddhist belief, but he is simply talking about Four Noble Truths. Buddha recognized delusion is the cause of all the problems. According to his analysis and his way of explaining, and modern psychology, and in fact they come to terms with that human beings, even though we are so brilliant, even though we have capacity to understand things in a greater sense, we do have the equal capacity to make ourselves deluded. And he is trying to say that it evolved as a necessary mechanism. But now in the modern society, because of that, we still face a lot of miseries. What I'm trying to tell you here, if we are looking at from totally scientific point of view, regardless of any religious background, if we were to accept science alone and were to believe or accept that we evolved from ape and became human beings, in this process of evolution, we have developed many things, especially our mind. So from their point of view, they are not looking at it religious point of view. They are simply looking at it psychologists and scientists, that's it. So they say that we have an inbuilt nature that we become deluded. That sounds like Buddhism. Buddha too says that we have avijja and we do not see the real world. What we see is distorted view of the world. So if it is the case, even taking it from the scientific point of view, destroying this delusion may not be so easy. We may need a lot of training. So do not expect this moha to be disappear at once.
It's 9:15 now. Let's have a last questions. No? Okay, then we are end tonight's talk.
I think they all are enlightened now.
I think most of them are enlightened, so no questions. Okay, so please put your palms together. We'll do transfer of merits.
Friends, be happy and joyful. Today we gathered here and discussed the Dhamma. The good devas, virtuous devas, rejoiced over the merits. Having shared these merits, may the devas protect you, protect your loved ones, protect the dispensation of the Buddha. May the devas attain bliss of Nibbana. Departed relatives and friends, wherever they are, may they all share these merits. Having shared these merits, may they be free from worries and sufferings. Be well, be happy. May all our departed loved ones attain bliss of Nibbana. May the great blessings of the Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha be upon all of you. May all of your good wishes, good dreams come true. May there be peace and happiness in your life. May these merits be helpful to refrain from the evil, to cultivate the good, to follow the noble path of the Buddha and attain bliss of Nibbana.
Okay, before we end the sessions, just one announcement. There'll be another talk, another Dhamma talk on the 29th of October, which is a Monday.